Hey guys, this is Virgie. I am live with Chelsea Peitz here, and I'm super excited to have her on. You're actually going to be one of my first videos for my podcast, so I have to get three together. So guys, introducing you to Chelsea Peitz. How you doing, girl?
I am amazing. As always, thank you so much for having me. Super pumped to be here. This is my first LinkedIn Live multi-stream, so it's kind of an epic day, especially being with you. So thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, you're getting LinkedIn Live. I know it. You have to be. It's just all about timing. It's that waiting list. I was super excited. So when I got it, I wanted to share it with people like you so I could actually bring the value. So why I wanted to bring you is because personal branding is a huge thing right now. I don't know, everybody I know has been for the past year really all in on that. But sometimes people are starting to feel a little stuck. They don't know where to take it from here. So really, I thought what you had to say, understanding the science behind social selling, I thought was brilliant. Because if you understand that there's more to it than, but I'm doing everything, I think that it goes deeper than that. So that's why I want to talk to you. You also have a really great book out on Amazon. You also have another one coming on, but the one you have now is Talking in Pictures. You started on Snapchat, right?
I did. I was on Snapchat before it was cool to be on Snapchat. It was the OG TikTok where people looked at you and said, "You're on what? You do what there?" I think my kid's there. And so I proved, I put my money where my mouth is, and I do everything that I teach, everyone to do so that I can give you experience from a personal perspective. And said, well, if I can build a personal brand on a completely undiscoverable closed system where, you can't use hashtags or anything like that, and it's for, a demographic that is not purchasing or buying real estate specifically,
right,
then I can do it anywhere. So that is what I did. And I got a really amazing life lesson, quite a few business lessons along the way. And it was a really great blessing for me.
But that's how you grow and that's how you learn, is in the doing. You can read all you want, but you really don't know it until you do it. What I loved about the book, though, is that even though it talked about Snapchat, it doesn't really matter what platform you're on.
No.
Once you understand what it is, it can apply to all different industries. Like me and you are in real estate, but it transfers to everything. Personal brand, corporate branding, we all need to be understanding that. So let me ask you a question. Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
I consider myself having an entrepreneurial philosophy and mindset. And I think, many of us, regardless if you own your own company, if you are an employee, we are most creative and successful when we feel that we have the ability to impact something, whether it's our own solely or we're part of a company. And so, yes, I do think that I have an entrepreneurial mindset. I love goals and creativity. I love education. I like making an impact. So absolutely, I don't really consider myself an entrepreneur, although I have owned businesses before, and I still wouldn't really consider myself that, I guess I would say, but I definitely have that vibe and that mindset for sure.
You do for sure. I definitely consider myself an entrepreneur, and I think the things, because we're come from the same time. We got on the internet, but I was always embraced the internet early on, and you said that you really didn't. And so we come from those two different areas, but I think mine might have been a crutch for me, or because I knew it so well, I didn't embrace the personal branding, because I came from the Generation Z, where you were very private. You didn't want to put all your stuff out there. So for me, it was well, I'm not going to get Facebook my stuff. I'm going to do it for myself. I was a little bit late on that, where you were embracing it like a child does. It's just let's just go for it. Let's just have fun with it. And you've been so consistent. How do you stay consistent?
Well, I first have to go back to a point that you just made. And I think that there's something so beautiful about doing something for the first time, because you have no idea what you're doing. And, if I knew then what I know now about Snapchat and where it was going, it wouldn't be the same thing. So there is a beauty in having no idea what you're doing. And that's actually a really powerful place to be in. You only get to be there once. So for those people who are out there thinking about doing Instagram stories, maybe even TikTok, maybe they're going to make a video for the first time. Fantastic, because that first time you do something is epic and you'll never get that back. And so that's great. Now, the consistency part, you really have to find something that you're passionate about and that you love. For me, I don't like making posts in the feed. I don't like Twitter. I love Instagram stories. Okay. That is my jam.
You are leaning in strong to that too.
And that's what I like to do. So you have to find something that you like to do.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing you like to do, then find the one you hate the least and focus there.
Okay.
And don't do everything every day. And you have to work smarter, not harder. I mean, the algorithms are changing all the time. It's very saturated.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather, make one really good post every 2 weeks than, 2 posts a day for a week, because it's just not going to go very far.
It's not. And that's what I tell people is you get that burnout and you should be documenting instead of creating. And I do the same thing. I get stuck in, oh gosh, I got to do something, or it's been a week. And it's really, think smarter, not harder. Plan. What I love about you is that you literally just don't really prep so much sometimes. Sometimes you're just bring people into your life and you're like, here I am at Costco, guys. My favorite thing about you is when you woke up from Vegas and your hair, with your makeup from the night before, your hair was
my eyebrows are still on. Yeah.
Oh man. That just makes you feel so real and connect. And when you get past that thing of having to do something perfectly and just being present and in the moment, I think that's where people really need to focus on, is not, what do I got to do? It's got to be perfect. It's got to bring value. And we get stuck in bringing value, but sometimes just bringing people into your home is the value, because you're connecting with them.
Yeah, I talk a lot about the different value levels of content and how we have a mindset about what value should look like. And, to your point, that whole, and there's 2 words that I can't stand in our industry. It's authenticity and influencer. So I'm going to say authenticity. Come on, you can't get authentic and real in front of a camera unless you do it. I've done it every day for the last 4 years. When you do that, then you can feel more comfortable. So for those people who are I've never done an Instagram story, no. Do I expect you to be totally authentic and document your, the behind the scenes of your life? Absolutely not. When I started, I did a daily show and I prepped for it and I had notes and I was, very business and marketing. And I was afraid to actually show more of the personal side.
Yeah.
So all testing and tweaking and happy accidents and things like that. So yeah, it's, just, you have to start. And people say all the time, well, how can I get better at video? You have to do it. You have to. It's like saying, how do I get better at being a parent? Well, if you don't have a kid, you can imagine all these things, but until it actually happens to you, you're like, oh,
yeah,
this is how it really is.
Really, really overwhelming. It's very true.
Yeah.
So what was when you started, what was your biggest struggle starting out?
I was terrified of running out of things to say. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I made it through another week. What am I going to talk about on Monday? So I was going to run out of content, because again, that's an area where people get very, stopped because there's a block where we think, content has to be valuable. Well, what the heck does that mean?
Right.
And so that's why, writing this second book about, let's just simplify content and let me give you a formula, and then your brain will start to pick up other things when you see it works. And sometimes you just need to apply something and be like, oh, okay, got it. It worked. Now I see it. Mm-hmm. So the fear I had was running out of things to talk about. And I can tell you, as somebody who has done content every day for over 4 years, that you will not run out of things to, talk about, to think about. But I understand that is a very real fear. And the way you get over that is, and I teach people, I'm like, you ethically take other people's content and you give them credit and you make your own, because we all have an opinion.
Right.
So if nothing else, you could watch this video right now. You could go on to Facebook or LinkedIn and make a quick video and say, hey, I just watched this awesome, live stream and they were talking about X, Y, and Z. Yep. And, I have a fear of running out of content too. What do you guys? There's your piece of content right there. So you'll never run out of content.
You'll never. It's you
real fear.
Yeah, give love to receive love, and just put yourself out there. And, I had a fear today. Am I going to do good today? Am I going to make sure this live goes smoothly? Yeah. And you get stuck in your head a lot. And I think the biggest, if you guys are getting stuck with personal branding or videos or any of that, just stop thinking. Like, that overthinking really, really just like paralyzes you. So I have another question for you. So you actually answered one of them, like how you overcame that. Did you have any limiting beliefs? Like, you were like in real estate. When did you switch to creating content about you personally? When did you feel like, because I have a lot of realtors and like, well, I'm very professional. Where's the balance between staying very professional and then being very real?
Yeah, it was a battle that I fought for a long time because I did, marketing only content for literally 2 years. I didn't do anything personal, and I was quite afraid to, because I was afraid, well, that's my brand, is the marketing side. And so now I do a mix of personal and marketing, and I have different areas and platforms that, my Instagram, while I do have some tips there, it's very personal. And if you're in my Instagram feed, 90% of my posts are educational.
Right.
So I still have my brand there. But what I found is that once I let that fear go and I tried it, I actually ended up doing much better than I thought I was going to. And sometimes it's a crash and burn. Sometimes you're like, well, that didn't work, so I need to go back to whatever it was. Yep. But, a lot of people say to me, well, I'm a private person and I don't want to share, everything with the world. I don't want to be an overshare. I don't care what people ate for lunch. I got you. Okay. So there's a difference between personal and private. Personal is human relatable, things that we do every day. If you're a parent, you're at some point dropping or picking up a kid, you're going to Costco, you might go to sports. If you are, somebody that has a dog, there's all those things that go into having that. If you go to work, then there's all those things that go into that. We can all relate to those things. That is personal content. Private content, you and I could be going to dinner tonight and you might see a picture of the restaurant name, but you're not seeing a picture of who I'm at with the dinner table. That could be very private to some people. So you can still extend content that is personal, that somebody might say, oh my gosh, I love that restaurant. Oh, you do? What was your favorite thing on the menu? Now you're in a conversation. Now you're engaging the algorithms. Yeah. So it's totally okay to have personal. In fact, you should have personal content. You should have, your brand flavor, your own personality. It feels very weird for me to do, posed photos that are professional looking, because people who watch me every day with like crazy, my crazy face. And I'm kind of, I kind of think of myself as a funny person. So it doesn't really make sense all the time to do that. So.
Yeah, I always feel funny in photos too. I feel silly. I'm a big dork, I'm like, just like. So now let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience, the selling behind the science behind social selling. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a really, really big thing now, because now everyone's putting out this personal branding. They're doing all this growth marketing, but they're like, how do I monetize it? Like, when do I ask now? Mm-hmm. Is there ever that time you're like, okay, now we flip the switch? It's on a switch that gets flipped, right?
There is sort of like that, mythical switch that does flip if you do it for a certain amount of time and you do improve and you provide value, and it does happen. And yes, people have asked me if there's a time frame, and I'm not going to give a time frame, here, but there is one in my mind that I talk about with a lot of people. Okay. But the thing of it is that, content creation and social media and science, there's such a science behind it. And I'm so passionate about it. And obviously I wrote a book about it. But the thing of it is the real change was like this, right? Our phone and what we're doing now. So we've always connected through story and through personal media. Okay. Our photos and videos and all that. But the switch was that sort of a real time where it's either live or a 24-hour time period where Snapchat came in, and where we are with Instagram stories, where people actually get to come into your story with you. Right. There is a huge science of facial recognition in our brain. There's 2 large areas of our brain that are just made for facial recognition, which kind of boggles my mind. I mean, it's kind of ironic that I'm saying it boggles my mind. We're talking about the brain, but there's not a lot of big areas of your brain dedicated to one thing, right? And the ones that are super important. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I can build trust and connection by watching my phone and seeing someone's face, and you literally never have to tell me any sales pitch, you never have to tell me what to do. I automatically will feel as though I'm building trust, through my technology. That's the part that's the science. And I mean, it's funny to say it, but it's so easy. I mean, the problem is that people are like, wow, they're overcomplicating it. And literally just showing up and showing your face, even if it's like you're not even talking, I don't recommend that. But saying you showed up and like took a quick video of yourself saying good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Again, I don't recommend that as content. I know people who did that, and became like this personal brand in the network where they're like, yeah, there they are again saying good morning. Like, that's it. So
well, we're getting a lot of engagement here, Chelsea. I got people saying, gosh, you guys are doing a really great job. Great use of the live video chat. Let's see if we have any questions. Okay, do you think social media is enough, or should you do face-to-face?
Oh, I mean, social media is definitely always a great complement to face-to-face. But I can't talk to 100 people a day in person, and I can't fly to Australia and talk to somebody there, which I have done in the last week. So it's pretty awesome to be able to talk to people at scale and share content at scale, literally if I'm lying in bed at 8 p.m. at night.
Yes.
So, yeah, in my mind, it just exponentially explodes your ability to share your brand and connect with people. But nothing's ever going to replace, human contact. But just so, if this person asks, I don't know who they are, but sure. Our brain actually has no idea the difference between seeing our faces right now on a screen and seeing them in real life. Literally, our neurons fire in the exact same way. And here's another freaky brain thing. If I look at you on a regular basis, my neurons start to fire in a very specific pattern just for your face. So what that means is then when I'm seeing you in the feed, I'm like, oh, I like her. I don't know why I like her. I don't even know that I like her, but you have this feeling.
It's true though. I've sensed it myself. I mean, to be honest with you, that's how we met. Yeah. That's how we connected. We've never met in person. I tried to make it out to Vegas to have a cocktail hour with you. It just didn't happen. And we will. And this is that thing, I met with Jason Frazier. He came out to where I was. I was like, I need to meet you. I don't even care if it's just hi, bye. I just want to. So yeah, it does change the level of the relationship. But I would have never met some of these people had I not had video. I would have never known about you, and that would be sad.
Yeah. I think it really exponentially helps.
Okay, so let's see. What are the questions? Okay, so Black Phone is Facebook. One is LinkedIn. I've got all you guys here to really
technology.
It's such great engagement. Okay, so one thing you can't see is the questions from both at the same time. So if you guys have questions and we're not answering your questions, I really apologize, but Chelsea and I will go through this and we will get those questions answered for you. I'm just, what else do I have here? What do you advise to those first timers as a social media coach? This is coming from Princess Rosa de Castro. So the question is, what do you advise to those first timers as a social media coach?
I think that there's a big factor of intimidation in a couple of different aspects. Number one, if you're new to a platform, for example, let's take TikTok, right? Okay. I'm new to that platform. I am still learning how the buttons work, right? That's intimidating to me. So you've got to overcome the intimidation of learning the functionality of a platform. Then you have to overcome the content you need to create for it. Then you have to overcome the video part of the content. So there's a lot, right, to stagger and to start there. What I recommend is if you are a beginner, if you are a first time, and honestly, even if you're not and you've been doing it for a while, you might want to, refresh your strategy and start, doing this. I would honestly make sure you're connected and following people that are of interest or in your sphere of who you might want to be working with, past clients, current clients, family, friends, etc. And then I would just honestly watch their content and support their content. The algorithms are looking for a good community member who engages in content, shares other people's content, comments in long form. And then what happens is you create the brand because guess what? They see your picture, they see your name in multiple places, not only in the post comments, but also as a notification. You can become a super fan and your comments can become your content. So that's where I'd recommend people starting until they get comfortable with it and then branching out into making their own content.
I absolutely agree. I mean, when I first got started, I really just searched everybody, started finding content that was aligned with me, started creating my feed, and then I'm not faking it when I'm actually commenting. This is stuff that I genuinely resonate with.
Right.
So you do that, and a lot of people are, I think when you're trying to create a brand or an image, people think that they have to create a brand, something that's not them, because it's really hard because you have to get vulnerable. You have to ask yourself, who am I? Well, That's a
really hard question to answer.
I always hated that question because it's something that you're always growing into. You're always learning. And then you've got, like, I know a lot of my friends are millennials and they're younger. They're a lot younger than me. And they're really, really embracing this personal branding. But they ask me, like, Birch, how am I supposed to know who I am at 25? I'm like, you're not. You're not. You're supposed to speak to that. You're supposed to speak to that because everybody else who's 25 and doesn't know, that's who you're talking to. And then you do that and you grow with it. So, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, you have to just be authentic. I hate that word too. I use it a lot. Now I'm going to question myself when I use it. But I just think if you just align with yourself, you find something that fuels you, that makes you excited, then you're going to do it regardless if anyone's watching or not. You know, like, I'm getting in on TikTok, not because I'm a great dancer or anything like that. It's because my daughter wants to get on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really, Luna? Fine. But for me, it's like work-life, family, integration. So this is a way for me to work with her too and learn something new. Who knows?
Right, exactly. And for me, I'm just so inspired by the creativity. And when I was on Snapchat heavily, I was very creative because it was a really creative product.
Right.
And, now that I haven't been heavily over there as much, it's a little bit less creative. Yes. I'm making it less creative. It's not that the product isn't creative, but I'm very just like, here's me, I'm talking, here's my life, that sort of thing. So I appreciate kind of getting back into that creative zone with a tool like TikTok. Yeah.
So you've been doing a lot of speaking, and you spoke last year in Florida with somebody pretty special. I'm very jelly. Gary Vee. Oh my God. What was that like?
Okay. So if you've ever had somebody that you really admire as a mentor, somebody that inspires you, and, you have that fear of, oh gosh, like when I meet them, are they going to be like as cool in my mind as they, in person? And I have to tell you, I mean, I think it takes a very unique person who has a gift for it. He was even better than I could have hoped for. Extremely kind, extremely engaged. Absolutely knew people's names and, remembered them. And that was a testament to the type of person that he is. So it was extremely amazing. It was a bucket list. It was super fun. And I'm so glad that I got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I was watching you guys. I was like, yay! I was like living vicariously through you. That's really awesome. So Chelsea, you've done a lot of great stuff. Do you consider yourself a success?
I do. Yeah. I don't know if I would have said that a few years ago because, we all have this little thing called imposter syndrome sometimes.
Yes.
You don't think you're good enough. You're like, what if they find out one day I'm not an expert that they think I am? But heck yeah, I feel really good in my expertise of what I'm doing and, helping people and speaking. And yes, I do. And I think the reason I know that I feel that way is that I'm writing this other book and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And I feel that this experience for me is very different than the first time I did it. So yeah, I do.
The biggest difference? What would you say the biggest difference is?
I think when I wrote the first one, I was like, man, I hope, this is right. I hope people resonate with it. I hope they like it. And now I know, I'm like, I can't wait for people to get a hold of this because I know it will help them. Like, I'm not wondering if it will.
You got that confidence, girl.
Yeah, I know it will. And, mainly because I've done all the things, right? Like, because I've done it all.
You've done the work. You've been a practitioner. You know it. You've been in the trenches. You speak from experience, not just because you read it in another book and you're just now regurgitating it. You're really awesome. I love it. I mean, if you guys will look at her, like, she was literally, I almost didn't think we could do live with her because I thought she would be abducted by aliens. Seriously. No, there's like a photo of her. I'm gonna see if I can put it up there. See, look at that.
Alien thing going on in the last year or so with alien plants and alien abduction. Yeah, it just goes to show that you can make any kind of content interesting. Don't care if it's a Costco trip, a plant in your yard, a weed. It all is how you put it.
The weed. I remember the weed.
Oh,
I felt sad. I felt very sad.
Her home planet. She did. People still ask about her.
That's so funny. Okay, so Chelsea, I know you've got your kids to pick up pretty soon. Let's wrap this up. So I know, so 2020, this is my year for clarity and vision, like 2020 vision. So 2020 is a year of clarity for me, and I think others, because I think we've been on this journey of personal branding, and now we're really like, okay, we need to hone this in. What is next for Chelsea?
Well, I am determined, and I keep looking over here because this. I'm determined to make this actually, this is the book, okay? This is the actual book. And I'm like, how am I going to get this into the final product? But I will get it done. I will. And
girl, you're a badass. You are going to get this done
before the end of the year. That's my big push right now. And then of course next year I've got a whole bunch of really exciting projects that I'll probably be talking about more in the next year. But a lot of really good stuff. A lot of stuff with social media. A lot of stuff in the industry. A lot of stuff with many amazing people whom I've met on LinkedIn and throughout social media. So I'm just really excited to be connecting with some of the folks that I haven't actually been in the same room with, but we know each other through the socials. Through
this neuroscience of social selling. So if there's anything I could ever add value to anything you got going on, you can always reach out to me. So let's see if I have any other questions. I think that's it. Oh, okay. So what are the 3 tips that we can leave everybody with? 3 tips.
Okay. So the first tip is, like I mentioned, you should set aside time in the morning and the evening to support other people's content. Become the super fan. It's several branding opportunities in one because they're getting notifications. They're seeing you in the comments. I tell people all the time, it's kind of like today's handwritten thank you note because I go to the mailbox maybe once every 2 weeks. I go to my, feed 10 times a day. So I'm going to see you there. The next thing is that if you haven't embraced some form of video, I don't care if it's an Instagram story, if you're using a filter, if you're editing it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be live. You need to start there. And I would say 3, as far as format goes for social media, and I've heard LinkedIn's been testing this with the stories, but that is the best and easiest sales prospecting platform and format is the story, because like you said, you document, you don't even have to create. Not saying you spam people there, but you do not have to even tell people what you do because they will see it as you are documenting your day.
That's huge. I have one last question. What is the ratio between content and personal business? Do you have a ratio or do you even think about it?
It really, on my stories, I'd say it's probably 70-30, 70 personal, 30 business on my stories. In my feed, it's personal photos and personal stories turned into educational moments. So I do a lot of it together, but for, the person who's just starting out, I would say 70-30, 80-20, personals, we're going to get the engagement. And then you kind of build that credibility with the business content. It leans a little bit different on LinkedIn. That's a little bit more of an educational business related platform that I wouldn't maybe share when I'm putting on TikTok there. But you have to know your audience and you have to know your platform and what works.
You do have to know your audience, but just to say on LinkedIn, I have noticed that a lot of creative content is being done on LinkedIn, and I'm not seeing enough of my realtor friends or enough people putting up content. There's a lot of personal branding, a lot of millennials on there, but honestly, LinkedIn is a very, very cool place. It's honestly, it's like Facebook was in 2013.
It's like Facebook 10 years ago.
It really, really is. So that's why I'm all in on it. So, well, that's it, guys. I thank you so much for being here. Chelsea, this is awesome. You are amazing. I am so grateful. We will get those drinks together, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks. Make sure you guys take action, okay? Get out there, do some videos, take these steps. It's not a secret sauce. It's do the work, engage and care. Personal branding is something you have to really align yourself with and make sure you're doing it for yourself. If you're not, it's not going to come off authentic. So that's my tips for you guys. Have a beautiful day. Take care. Happy Monday. Bye.